Amber Frey takes the stand in Scott Peterson's trial today. What do we expect? Will she have a real impact on the prosecution's ability to prove Scott murdered his wife, Laci? Fox News legal editor Stan Goldman joins us from Redwood City, California, along with defense attorney Bruce Barron and Michael Wilds, a former federal prosecutor and now the mayor of Englewood, New Jersey. Gentlemen, welcome. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Scott, she is being called by the prosecution. It's expected Stan. She's been called by the prosecution. She's expected to be on the stand for a week. She must have a long story to tell.
Well, in large part, she's in the heart of the prosecution case. She sets the tone and the mood. It's almost surprising they didn't put her on earlier rather than later, as many people were speculating. With her, we have the potential motive and also Scott Peterson at his lying best. The ability to tell somebody he's actually on his way to Belgium. He's in New England at the time, when in reality he's at his own wife's, in effect, memorial service in many ways. She had not been found yet, but that vigil that they were having for on New Year's Eve. Yeah, she's important to this case. Is she the entire case? If the prosecution has nothing but her, they could never win this case. They have to depend on the circumstantial evidence plus the tone and the motive set by Amber.
Well, Michael, they also have Amber Frey telling Scott Peterson in these phone calls, or Scott Peterson telling her, I should say, that he's going to be able to spend more time with her in January after he gets back from Brussels, where he never went. I mean, she seems to portray a lot of the leaks in his story.
Remember, John, that his alibi places him actually at the murder scene. We know that he's emotionally callous. We know that he's had contradictory statements. And we know also that he's shown absolutely no remorse. But what is the motive in this case? This witness is key, and it's up to the prosecution to prove that even somebody very close to him felt he was capable enough to do this, to even have the presence of mind to tape record conversations. He will have substantial opportunity to be represented by his attorney, but this is premeditated murder, and I believe most of America is waiting to see if more questions are going to be presented or if they're going to be answers.
Bruce, there are some answers about this so-called mystery evidence that stopped the trial. It's apparently, according to a newspaper report, some plastic sheeting that smelled of a dead body that was found near Laci's body. And police apparently never really tested it for evidence, or at least if they did, they didn't let prosecutors know about that. How significant could the absence of that evidence be? I mean, Mark Garagos is making like, this is the thing that's going to spring his client. Could it do that?
Well, I don't think so. Mark is doing an excellent job, as he's been doing throughout this trial, in blowing up everything at every opportunity. But the reality of it is that the judge will understand that there's a ton of evidence that police and prosecutors must look at, and certainly setting aside any prosecutorial misconduct, it would just be another piece of evidence that maybe they didn't consider significant at the time. However, with respect to Amber's testimony, I disagree with our panel in that Amber really doesn't learn of her existence, Laci's existence, until after a disappearance. To me, that puts her outside the box. This prosecutor's got to go very quick with this witness, or he's going to lose a lot of steam, if any at all, in this case. In that, let's face it, how many men that cheat on their wives spend the Friday night looking through wedding albums? I mean,
we know that he's not apple pie and Chevrolet, but the question is ultimately the spontaneity issue, the mop. All of the facts, the cash, the houses that he was purchasing, everything points overwhelmingly with the circumstantial evidence.
There's no doubt, but
she's the glue that puts it together.
Well, she may be glue, but he can have a big problem with this witness, because if there was a significant trust built up, a jury's going to believe, well, then why didn't he admit to killing his wife?
Listen, Scott, you don't get a letter from your dictator if you're applying for political asylum, and certainly you don't get a videotape of a murder at the scene. It's up to the government to link these dots.
Six-week love affair, 4 dates. You don't kill your wife for that reason, especially that the prosecution has already established that he's had many girlfriends. I think the prosecutor has to go quick with this.
I say motive and a big hole in the alibi by the time this testimony is finished.
Stan, real quickly, I assume that Mark Garagos is going to try to portray Amber Frey as some kind of a temptress here.
Yeah, he's going to perhaps suggest, if he gets the opportunity, that she's had affairs with married men before. It's not a big deal. She shouldn't have been shocked over it. That she may have been obsessed with Scott as much, if not more, than he was obsessed with her. And for the most part, as was just said, he'd had not just 4 dates with her, but only 2 by the time the prosecution believes he hatched the plan to kill his wife. That's what Mark said in opening statements, and therefore they're going to suggest she wasn't much of a motive to plan to kill his wife.
And Stan, interesting you say that, because the jury will also realize that possibly a lot of the phone conversations were initiated by Amber as a result of the police investigation.
All right, Bruce Barron, Stan Goldman, Michael Wilds. Gentlemen, thanks for being with us this morning.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
President Bush's pick for CIA director has a tough road ahead of him if he gets the job, including an investigation into the leak of an undercover CIA officer's ID. Who spilled the beans? An in-depth look is on the way. Also, one of the ingredients used in the Oklahoma City bombing still very easy to get in the U.S.
Cholesterol. It comes grilled, fried, slow-cooked, and twice-baked. But did you know it also comes from Mom, Dad, Grandma Ethel, or Grandpa Sam? Your bad cholesterol